My best friend of 20 years is cheating on his wife of 12 years with a guy, and now I'm involved and don't know what to do. I, 39M, have been best friends with my buddy, 38M, for just over 20 years now. We met while working at a restaurant, and from the very beginning, we got along really well. Obviously, over that amount of time, we've been through a lot together and seen some things, the good, the bad, the ugly, the dirty, and the hilarious. We've been there for every major adult milestone, from meeting our spouses, having kids, and losing loved ones. Our marriages have been great, and our wives and kids have become close too. They hang out without us, we've gone on family vacations together, and our daughters even complain that they wish they were sisters so they could play anytime they want. Honestly, it's kind of a dream scenario. Needless to say, after this many years and at this level of friendship, there really isn't anything we don't know about each other or don't feel comfortable talking about. That includes the fact that, years ago, I saw him hook up with a guy or two. It never bothered me. To each their own. However, his wife was never informed about his past experiences with both men and women. While I told him I didn't agree with keeping that from her, it wasn't my place to say anything. It's his relationship, so it's always been something I teased him about privately whenever we joked around. Still, it's been a secret I've been expected to keep without ever really consenting to it. Best friend code, bro code, or whatever you want to call it. It's also something he always told me wasn't important because he loves his wife, they have a great sex life, and he never acts on those attractions. So I always wrote it off as a not my monkeys, not my circus situation. So imagine my surprise when, about 6 months into this whole situation, he told me he'd been cheating on his wife with a guy, 33M, and that it had grown into a full-blown relationship. Now, for all intents and purposes, and as far as I knew from both him and what his wife told my wife, remember, they're good friends too, my buddy and his wife had a great marriage. So I was shocked, but I listened to the whole story. The key points are basically, they met on Snapchat, and things escalated from chatting online to meeting in person and eventually hooking up. The guy knows my friend is married, but he has no interest in getting married himself. He enjoys having his own space, has a demanding career, and is completely fine with the arrangement not being the number one priority. They got gym memberships together and started spending time together that way. My buddy now has a key to the guy's apartment and works from there a few days each week instead of going to the office. His company has a hybrid work model, so his job isn't in jeopardy because of this. He says the affair has somehow actually improved his relationship with his wife because he's more relaxed and happier. I assume that's because he's finally expressing a part of himself he's been suppressing. Anyway, I've gone from being a concerned and angry friend internally, trying to coach him through all the different reasons this is wrong and could become even more disastrously complicated, while encouraging him to end it before things got worse, to being completely torn apart after what happened last week. He introduced us. Yes. He introduced us. Apparently, he told his boyfriend that I knew about the affair. That eventually turned into, well, if your best friend knows, why can't I meet him? I can't be part of your daily life or social circle otherwise. So I showed up to meet my buddy for coffee, not at our usual Starbucks, which I didn't think anything of at the time, and there they both were. I stayed for an awkward 45 minutes of small talk before leaving. Yes, I absolutely tore into him over the phone afterward when he called asking what I thought. And yes, after that, I became even more forceful in trying to convince him to end the affair. Now here's where I need advice. I realize that, up to this point, there have already been a million reasons why a normal person might have handled this differently. But remember, this guy is like a brother to me. I've also known and been close to his wife for over 16 years because they dated for years before getting married. I'm basically an uncle to his kids. Our wives are close friends. Our kids are close friends. So yes, while he's obviously the one making terrible decisions, by extension I'm trying to protect him, but I'm also trying to protect a huge part of my own life, my family's life, and his family's life. My automatic instinct has been to try to fix everything, not become someone helping him cover it up. This weekend, while we were all having dinner together as one big extended family, I completely zoned out because the guilt had finally become overwhelming. I almost lost it sitting there. I love his wife and his kids, and I genuinely want them to have the best possible life together as a family. Then it hit me. My buddy has unintentionally put me in a position where I'm not only keeping his secret, but I'm also lying to my own wife, to his wife, who is also one of my closest friends, to the rest of his family. Everyone. I don't even want to imagine what my wife would think if she found out I'd been hiding this from her. Never mind the fact that I actually met the guy. If I tell the truth, I could destroy their marriage, a huge part of my own life, and my wife and kids' relationships with everyone involved. Beyond that, what happens to my friendship with my buddy afterward? What happens to my relationship with his wife? What happens when my own wife realizes I knew and didn't tell her? Worst case scenario, it honestly feels like it could be the emotional equivalent of losing immediate family members. I know that sounds dramatic, but really think through how deeply connected all of our lives are. I honestly don't know if I can keep this to myself anymore. The guilt I felt sitting at that dinner table was unbearable. As long as I know this affair is still happening, I think all of our relationships are going to change anyway because I'm simply too emotionally invested after looking his wife and kids in the eyes. No matter what I do, I lose. He's put me in an unbelievably awful position. What would you do? Would you tell his wife? Would you give him an ultimatum? Should I tell my own wife? What if she immediately tells his wife? Do I just distance myself from all of this and hope it eventually ends on its own? Edit. I want to clarify a few things based on the comments coming in, and also thank everyone who has already replied, as well as those who continue to do so. 1. I didn't mean that I've known about the affair for 6 months. The affair itself has been going on for 6 months. I've only known about it for a few weeks, and I was unexpectedly introduced to the affair partner at the beginning of last week, or about 2 weeks ago by the time this is being read. 2. During those few weeks before the meeting, when I said I was coaching him, I did not mean I was helping him continue the affair. I meant that I was talking him through the moral, ethical, emotional, physical, and mental consequences of what he was doing and encouraging him to either confess or end the affair. I purposely hadn't brought up how this was now affecting my family because I wanted to keep the focus on the damage he was doing to his own family. I also didn't think immediately running to tell his wife was necessarily the right first step. In my opinion, he should be the one to do the right thing, and that's what I had been hoping for over the last few weeks. I have not been sitting on this information for months. 3. I stayed at the coffee shop mostly because I froze. Call it weakness if you want. I honestly don't disagree with many of the criticisms people have made. But the truth is, I think I was simply in shock. In that moment, everything became incredibly personal. I realized I could never even imagine doing something like this to my own wife or family. I realized someone I deeply loved and respected apparently had no problem doing exactly that. He had dragged me into it without giving a second thought to me, my family, our friendship, or the broader consequences. Our friendship would never be the same. His family would never be the same. There were so many overwhelming realizations hitting me all at once that I simply sat there. Yes, that sucks. Yes, I feel terrible about it. But instead of walking away, I froze. 4. I'm going to talk to my wife tonight. I'm going to let her read through all of this, and together we'll figure out a plan. Part of the reason I even posted this is because of how conflicted I feel, but more than anything because I've been hiding something from my wife. I understand why many people are saying I'm guilty by association. Right or wrong, I genuinely hoped he would simply do the right thing on his own instead of continuing to dig himself into a deeper hole. I've never hidden anything from my wife before. Ever. I'll post another update later and let everyone know how everything turns out. I definitely didn't expect this much of a response.